Hello, Duelist listeners, and especially those of you that have accidentally downloaded the wrong podcast. Now, if you're looking for some good chill music to listen to while you crush your opponents in Hearthstone, then look no further than Dawn of Meaty. Their music is available for streaming and purchase at Bandcamp. That's dawnofmeaty.bandcamp.com. DAWN of Meaty, MIDI.bandcamp.com. And if you would like to support us, we're looking for sponsors, in addition to accepting donations via our Squarespace site at duelistdiscussion.squarespace.com on our subscription page. All donations go towards bandwidth costs. Thank you, and enjoy the show. Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of Duelist Discussion. I'm your host, Devin Casey, and joining me as always is my Italian, Canadian, meatball monstrosity. Who are you, Richard?
No.
He's Irish and Japanese, right?
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's the guy with a really deep tan.
Yes, very tan.
Point being, I'm running out of creative ways to introduce us. So, take it away.
I will take it away. This is your Italian-Canadian co-host, Ryan, and joining me today is my lovely Japanese/Irish co-host, Richard.
Where did that come from?
And my other lovely co-host, who is Indian and Jamaican. That is Devin Casey.
I mean, you can obviously tell by my skin.
Yes, that you can see right now.
I am so pale, it's not even funny. So how's everyone going? How's everyone doing?
I'm going well, man. Going very
Nice.
well.
How you going, Richard? Okay.
He's going to Japan, right? To see his relatives.
Like a really, really dark-skinned relative.
Yeah.
This dude is just cracking up. He's not ready for this show.
No, he's
I'm
not.
sorry. Okay, I'm doing good. How you guys been doing? How was your Halloween?
Wait, it's not episode 6, it's episode 7.
I was about to say, wait, what's going on? I
Alright.
couldn't remember the number.
All right, so episode recording canceled.
Well, this is episode 7. So yeah, my Halloween was pretty great. Did not carve any pumpkins this year. Which is a shame because I usually enjoy that. Did you do anything for Halloween?
I went to work.
Ooh.
Nice. I was working too.
I requested off work because I wanted to do something exciting and fun. But that didn't really happen. I went to my parents' house and saw my family and my nephew and handed out candy with all them and saw all the renegade 14-year-old kids walking around without costumes just trying to get free candy.
Oh, I see. With pillowcases?
Yeah, and they were like, trick or treat. I'm like, where's your costume? They're like, I'm a rapper. I'm like, no, you're not. Get out. But yeah, I did not carve any pumpkins either. I wish I did. It's not too late, though.
It's very too late.
No, man.
Well, at the very least, it's too late to enter Blizzard's pumpkin carving contest, which is quite ridiculous if you ask me. Have you seen those?
No, I mean,
Oh, man.
it sounds awesome.
These people are so good. You would think they... You know in
They
Skyrim
don't
when you
e-
have to travel the 3,000 steps or the however many to get up to that temple and you learn all the
7,000.
shouts? Thank you. And you learn all the stuff, and I know it sounds like I never played the game, but you know what I'm talking about. It's like these people go up there to join like an apprenticeship to carve pumpkins. And then they become not just carvers, but sculptors, pumpkin sculptors. And then they do this, they sculpt pumpkins, and then they send them to Blizzard. And then Blizzard says, hey, as if your day couldn't get any worse, here's something else that you can't do. And it's pretty great stuff. A lot of them featured Hearthstone type of things. It's really cool.
Huh.
I enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't dress up or anything. I went to Alex. Alex had a a house party. Went to that.
Oh yeah.
And that was interesting. I just had a few PBRs, that kind of thing.
You
You know-
classy gentleman.
Peanut butter and raspberry sandwiches.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
That sounds gross.
But yeah, I didn't eat a whole bunch of candy either, as traditional for Halloween, which is a shame because I don't have the sweet tooth I used to. My favorite candy is Twix though, and sour Skittles. Love me some sour
Man,
Skittles.
I'm obsessed with Butterfingers. Like every time my nephew would come by with his sack of candy, I would go through and say, "Oh, these Butterfingers, they're poisonous. You can't eat them." And he'd be like, "Oh, okay." And I just take them and eat them.
What a scumbag.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, he got all the other ones. He got Whoppers and Twix and Snickers, and I only ate the Butterfingers.
Those get stuck in your teeth though.
Yeah, I know. I can't feel my face anymore.
What?
That's not supposed to happen. Maybe they really were poisoned.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's been like 3 days. It's crazy.
Wow. Okay. You might be going into. Are you diabetic?
Death.
I'm
Going
so
to
confused.
Death.
Okay. What about you, Rashard? What's your favorite candy? Candy corn? You look like a candy corn kind of guy.
That's so generic.
Nobody eats candy corn.
Except for you.
I think right now my favorite candy is those Jolly Rancher chew things that have the like
It's like a
taffy on the inside.
crunchy
and then it's,
outside layer.
No, it's soft on both. Like the outside is soft, but the inside's like a taffy material.
I thought it was-
the outside's more.
I thought it was hard.
Huh? No, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Those aren't the ones I'm talking about.
So it's not hard. It's soft
And they're new.
now.
They're both new. Yeah, they're soft and soft. Let's not get Ryan started.
I'm sitting here just shaking my head.
Behind the scenes.
What's up with you guys liking candy that gets stuck in your teeth? Is that so you can have it for later?
Yeah, dude.
And quit
Definitely.
messing up the script. I see you.
Yes.
I
didn't do anything.
Whatever, man. So I had a birthday last Monday, and I turned 18.
Whoa.
22 actually, and it was pretty low key. I see you typing. I'm off track now. Thanks a lot. It was pretty low key, and but my girlfriend made me, and you're gonna be so jealous. You ever heard of those Biscoff cookies you get on the airplane, like the European coffee cookies? They're great. You're
Those are
crazy.
so good.
Yeah, you dip them in coffee.
Oh, delicious.
And they get soggier faster than Oreos, but like there's just such a great coffee treat. Well, she made a cake out of those, and the icing was like extremely fine grounded up cookies of that. Oh my god, man, it's so diabetes. It tastes so sweet.
Delish.
And I'm sorry for the insensitivity, but I mean, it's just, oh god, it was great. And then she made these zombie cupcakes that were like, we got them from Ward Market, and they it's just regular vanilla cake, but the icing was pink and flesh colored, and you could style it like a brain, so they were like zombie cupcakes, except the icing was so thin they would just melt and kind of like pour off the cake. So like for zombie cupcakes, I thought that was awfully ironic that they were just awful at it being undying. They would. You get where I'm going with this?
Yeah, that's crazy. Sounds delish.
But it was pretty good. Everyone loved him.
Right on.
That's different. Well, so what do we got going on for Hearthstone news? You guys are joining me next Friday and Saturday. You'll be with me at 1, Richard? 2? Okay, and then you're coming over, right, Ryan?
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right, man.
Days off.
Rad, and we'll hang out, and we'll be live tweeting and blogging, the highlights all day Friday and Saturday for BlizzCon at our Twitter, the podcast Twitter, which is at Duelist. No, I'm sorry, at Discussion Show. And then there's a new page on our site called BlizzCon 2013, where you can also follow along there if you like. But yeah, for Halloween, Blizzard teased on Twitter an 8 mana, 7 attack, and 8 health Happy Hearthstone card. It looked like one of the pumpkin minions you see in World of Warcraft. They teased this card on Twitter. Turns out it wasn't a real card, but which would have been pretty cool if it was, because you know how Blizzard implements holiday themes in all their other games. And I was thinking, how else could Hearthstone embrace the holidays? Like decorate the UI, you know, like they do in WoW, or StarCraft does that too, I believe, right?
Yeah, probably.
I think some holiday cards would be pretty neat.
You know what I think would have been?
I'm sorry, go on.
I think if they would have had the characters dress up as the other classes, like the warrior was dressed like a mage, like he had on the hat or the hood or whatever, the cowl. I guess.
Like different artwork.
Oh.
Yeah, like they just changed the icons and they were all wearing like each other's costumes, I guess. Or
I think it would be cool if they had a card based on the Headless Horseman from WoW. You know, every Halloween where he like rides around and he's like a world boss or whatever, and you can go fight him, and he always, if you're in a certain area, he always says some little rhyme.
Yeah, he's always like rhyming and screaming and.
Yeah, and he's like ha 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 ha, and you're like, where the crap is this dude?
He's
and you never
stuff.
actually find him. Yeah, he's just burning crap.
I really enjoy that guy. I have his mount, which is kind of hard to get, but that would be a great card to have. I would definitely try to get my hands on that one.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite supporting characters, I suppose.
His battle cry is he turns an enemy minion into a pumpkin. That's
Yeah.
one.
Well, my guess is once this game comes out, it goes into launch, they'll be able to implement more holiday stuff like that, where a good chunk of the population that wants to play will actually have access to it. And they'll have the resources and time to dedicate to that rather than just keeping the game stable. I imagine they'll go into those things because that's usually what they do. Blizzard posted a follow-up blog to the character profiles for the invitees for the Hearthstone Invitational Tournament at BlizzCon, and this one included the last four, and that is Trump, Day9, Artosis, and Kripparrian. And again, a very good read, gives you insight into all the players. And again, these players aren't the best players, but are some of the most renowned in the community, which makes sense because they're obviously trying to get this game publicity and just get good personalities on stage. A lot of favoritism is going towards Trump, and he's the first sponsored and paid player to play Hearthstone. He's sponsored by Razer. However, according to PinnacleSports.com, where bets are being taken for the Invitational, the odds are greatly in Day9, I believe. They're greatly in his favor. Let me double check that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's so?
Yes.
Which I don't really know why. I guess Day9's a good player. He's a better player. I haven't seen him.
Yeah. He seems to be the player that everyone else in the Invitational fears. There are like a couple of the other players in their spotlights. They were saying, I just hope I don't lose to Day9, and I really don't want to meet Day9. He's an unknown fear, etc., etc.
I see.
He seems to be the executioner here.
If I'm not mistaken, he has a podcast, and he's also a comedian, and he plays all sorts of different games. I don't really know too much about him. But those bets are not being accepted from the USA because it's not entirely legal in some states. But yeah, Day9 currently has the highest odds. I don't know who I'm rooting for anymore. Maybe once I see them all on screen and I get a good feel for them, my intuition might direct me. we'll see. But Blink-182 is performing at BlizzCon. How do you guys feel about that?
Yay! I love Blink-182.
Why do you love Blink-182?
They that was one of the first bands I really got into when I was a kid. Like when I was a little douchey skater kid when I was 11, 12 years old. I would always listen to Blink-182. So
Right on.
yeah, I've always liked them.
You think they're a good concert? I mean, a good group for this kind of venue?
I don't know, but I've seen them live and they put on a damn good show and they're hilarious. So
Are they better than Ozzy Osbourne?
of course he walks around stage on crutches pretty much.
Don't even know where he's at.
Exactly.
So, Zarya, who is actually a girl, we made a mistake in previous episodes because we don't know what you're talking about, and we have a reader to thank for that, a listener to thank for that, actually. And we'll mention that email later. But Zarya says that on the forums, all common cards have an equal chance to be pulled from packs. And that is to mean any of those, I believe it's a white gem in the card, any of those cards, all of those have an equal chance when you open a pack. None of them have any higher odd than the other, but that doesn't necessarily clarify for the other ones. So who's to say that legendaries are a little are tuned for different odds? You know what I mean? Or that could be a conspiracy, but I don't. It's not so much what this statement says, but it's what this statement doesn't say that grabs my attention. Or do you think I'm just crazy?
No, I agree.
It certainly seems like the odds of drawing rarer cards since the beta wipe for everyone have dramatically changed. Like, people have opened 40 card packs, 50 card packs, and they're not getting nearly the same cards they did. Like, not just different, but not as good of cards. Like, the odds are harder to get the stronger ones, which makes sense because before the wipe, that would give them an opportunity to put those strong cards in players' hands and get those balanced, and then the wipe would clear the board so everyone could start fresh and more balanced. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That makes sense.
But the card Battle Rage now awards a normal amount of dust, so that card's behaving normally now, and they're done with that. And the dev team continues to insist that they do not have any intention of doing another wipe, and everything will persist into launch. I think they should do another wipe. Do you think they should do another wipe?
Yeah, I feel like they should.
Yeah, I kind of feel it. I feel like they need to as well. Only because, like, I don't know. I don't really know how to, like, put my finger on the correct way to say it, but I feel like it would be necessary before release.
Yeah, because people are gonna complain about all these other people in the beta that had all these awesome cards.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that I would complain as well, but I'm in the beta. But I'm not gonna have crazy good cards. Hopefully not.
I mean, I'm not having great cards right about now, so I wouldn't mind. I suppose if I spent a whole bunch of money on packs and I got some good cards, I'd be a little sore at this point late in the game. Or if I crafted something pretty epic. But, you know, I'm not sure really how I feel about another wipe. It's hard to say. But I recently found out through experience that 100 wins in any mode nets you 300 gold, which is 2 arena runs. Pretty good stuff, man.
Yeah, that's convenient.
Yeah. And then I went toe-to-toe. Priest versus Warlock in Arena. I was the Warlock. Special guest featuring Ragnaros. So I was choosing all my cards in Arena, right? And I had the choice between it's the Dream Dragon card. Man, I'm so sorry. I don't these names like Ysera or something like that.
Yeah, I can't even remember.
Let's see. Yeah, I think it's Ysera. Yeah, at the end of your turn, draw a Dream card. It's a 9 mana. It's a 9/4/12. And those Dream cards are pretty good. But it's kind of up to chance. and I had the option between that and Ragnaros the Fire Lord. Both of these cards are legendaries. Ragnaros is an 8/8/8, and he can attack, but at the end of your turn, he deals 8 damage to a random enemy. That could be, it's always an enemy, but that could be one of their minions or them directly. And it smacks, it really packs punch. But I chose him, ended up going with him after much consideration, and I'm glad I did, because I went up against a priest, and we pretty evenly matched. For something he put out, I always had a good answer to, and vice versa. And then I played my Ragnaros, and I was just racking him, and he played Mind Control.
Oh God.
And he won.
It's terrible.
And my Ragnaros was buffed too. He was like 10 or something like that. And he got Mind Control and just wrecked me. But overall, in Constructed, I removed a bunch of spells from my Warlock deck and made it minion heavy, which proved to be very, very, very lucrative. Which does make a whole lot of sense considering the Warlock class has a lot of spells. What about you? What's been working for you?
For me, I mean, I've been trying to play a druid deck as much as possible.
Yeah.
And focus on buffs and a lot of minions, because I've been beat down by that combo a lot, and it just seems pretty viable.
Yeah. Do you have? And this is Constructed, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any like rare cards? Do you throw any of those in?
Not really. I mean, the only rare card that I got was the Gelbin Mekkatorque, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about him yet.
I gotcha. I think Richard has something to say about that. But about the Ragnaros, who's an 8/8/8, he can't attack unless he deals, but he deals 8 damage at the end of the turn, right? So if he's corrupted, or if he's corrupted by a spell or something, and he dies at the end, he's supposed to die at the end of my turn. Does he still deal damage? Like, which happens first?
Huh.
I'm very curious.
I've seen a lot of things like that have been gone in a specific order of operations. Like, I think there's phases or whatever.
Yeah.
And like certain effects take priority over others, and that's a good question. I'm not sure.
That's a very biased order, though. I don't know who that would favor. Do you know, Richard?
I actually have no idea. That is a good question. I will look into that.
If a listener had the answer, I would really appreciate it if you could email me. That would be great. So we talked a little bit last week about having a small deck and how that forces you to prioritize your focus when constructing. And you have to balance spells with minions, or minions with taunts, or the mana curve of your minions. Prioritizing situations, you're going to be going up against a mage with spells, or warrior with weapons, or a hunter with secrets, and so on. Trying to decrease chances adverse gamble on your hand, like the luck of the draw, which I got a pretty serious question about that. And maintaining integrity to the focus of your deck, like not having too much removal if your deck is supposed to be like kind of a rush aggro deck, or what have you. Which is my problem, because I keep wanting to make decks inadvertently with complicated builds, complicated focuses, and it's not too good at anything, like a jack of all trades kind of thing. So I wanted to ask you, like, how do you play other classes? Like, do you play a Beastmaster Hunter? That's what I play. I like to play a Hunter with a bunch of beasts, and I like to combo them and buff them with like Charge, which is it's a spell card, and it gives your minions, I think it's 1 attack, and it gives them all charge. So if you have like 4 beasts on the field, You can wreck someone pretty heavily with that. I don't really have a whole bunch of traps, but that's how I play Hunter. You know how to play a Warlock. How do you play, for example, say a Mage?
Well, when I play a Mage, I always make sure that I have a lot of control spells and cards that control anything like the Frost Elemental, where when he attacks something it freezes it, or Frost Nova or whatever, and it freezes all the minions. Because putting them in that corner and controlling their turn and controlling their moves is an extreme advantage, in my opinion. And
so you focus on control with Mage?
I focus on control and damage. So
Okay.
if I can keep their minions frozen and not have to worry about killing them this turn, or they'll destroy me next turn, I can freeze them all with Frost Nova and then focus on the enemy's health. And then if I'm lucky enough to have 2 Frost Novas, then that's fun, because you can freeze them, attack the enemy's health, and then he's like, alright, well, I'm not frozen anymore, I'm gonna put some more minions out, and you're gonna have to destroy these. And then I'm like, no, I'm gonna freeze them too. And
Is there a single card that can combat the freeze mechanic? Is there anything to reverse that in the game?
I don't think there's anything yet.
That's awfully unbalanced, don't you think?
Yeah, well, it's in beta, so I mean, I'm sure they'll have something that's.
I wonder
like
if you could
that.
silence a minion, like one of your frozen minions, and if that might suck, but if that would remove the freeze.
I'm sure there's gonna be something like that. Like maybe if you. I don't know.
It just doesn't make any sense to not have an answer to something. It doesn't make a whole bunch of sense balance-wise to me.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I've never heard of that before now. I just thought about that, but I don't know of any answer to the freeze mechanic.
Yeah, you just gotta kind of wait it out.
Because you can
suck.
still heal a frozen minion.
Yeah, that's true. But if you freeze a hero, then they can't attack. Like if you're going up against Garrosh and he has a weapon and you freeze him, he can't attack.
But you can still armor up and heal yourself, I believe.
Oh yeah, you can heal and buff yourself, but you can't attack with the enemy.
Very interesting mechanic. I imagine it's going to be tweaked.
Yeah, I think they'll have some sort of answer.
Yeah. What about you, Richard? Is there a particular deck you play a certain way? Earth to Richard.
Well, thanks to my beta key situation, I don't get much playtime, but I would probably approach the same way with a control-esque mage deck, simply because that's in any kind of like combat or PvP or whatever you want to call it situation. I typically lean towards that kind of play style.
Right.
Just to have the ability to control what my enemy's doing at all times while being able to put out enough damage to kill them as well.
Has that been working pretty well for you?
In other games, yes, but I mean, I haven't had enough playtime to get comfortable with, and the amount of cards and all that stuff that I still need to be able to do exactly what I want.
And you said the mage is like your primary deck.
Yes, it's definitely gonna be our primary.
What would you
deck,
say is a
so
must-have card?
It's sheep polymorph.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Have to have that one.
And it's not like is it polymorph, or I think it's Hex that turns them into a taunt minion.
A taunt frog, yeah. 0,
Yeah.
1.
But polymorph just turns them into a sheep. There's no taunt or anything.
What's the cost on that?
4, I think.
4 mana?
Yeah, 4 mana.
That seems
4
pretty
mana.
well costed. It's kind of expensive, but it's worth
You
it.
can use 2 a turn. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I like it.
You can use 2 of them a turn and then Arcane Explosion and get rid of them. That's a pretty good combo.
Yeah.
Something like that.
What's your main deck? Druid, you said?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I've been trying to play Druid. I'm still unlocking all the cards in base play because mainly I've been playing a mage deck actually, like a controlled damage mage deck.
Yeah. What would you say is a must-have card for the druid, as far as you know?
I would say, what's that card? It's like Heart of the Wild or something.
What's it do?
It's named after the buff in WoW as the druid, where you it gives you like plus to every stat, like intellect and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's Heart of the Wild, but it gives a friendly minion +2 attack and +2 health and taunt, which is pretty crazy. So turn one, I've had a great hand, and I've come up with, like, I've had the coin. So turn one, I would use the coin, and then I would use there's another card in the druid deck that gives you +2 mana crystals just for that turn, and it costs 0. So I've used 2 of those in one turn and the coin, and had 5 mana on my first turn, and I've thrown out like a 3 mana minion, and then used Heart of the Wild on it or something like that, and given it. So my enemy's second turn, he'll be facing down a 6/6 taunt minion, which is pretty awesome.
Dang.
Yeah, that's I think that's the strength with the druid deck is stuff like that, where you can just kind of right away just jump at him.
Yeah, I like how the druid deck can give himself more mana crystals.
Yeah.
That's I don't know, that seems really powerful to me.
It definitely puts you ahead, like with I can't remember the name of the cards, but there's another one that gives you an empty mana crystal, just one. So it puts you a step ahead of the enemy in resources. And if you use 2 of those per game before you reach max, then it puts you 2 steps ahead, and that's a pretty significant advantage.
Yeah. The Warlock deck has a card called the Succubus, and let me look it up real quick right here. Succubus. It is a 2 mana, 4 attack, and 3 health card. It's a demon, and its battle cry is it discards a random card in your hand, which is always very chancy, but it's a powerful card for turn 2. Very powerful. This card's basically 2 turns ahead. Like you said, it's just ahead of the game, but it comes at a cost, which is very in line with the Warlock's playstyle, self-sacrifice. And oftentimes, I'm always losing a very valuable card that I want later on, but sometimes you just need to gain turn advantage, or card advantage, and this card will do it. But if I had to say there was a card that you absolutely had to have in the Warlock deck in most cases, and one of my favorite cards of all time would have to be the Void Terror, which is almost always a good combo card. It's a 3/3/3 demon, and its battle cry is, when you lay it down on the field, it destroys the minions on either side of this, your minions. It destroys the minions on either side of this card and gains their attack and health. So you see, if you have like 2 minions on the field, you lay this thing smack down the middle of those, and if they, it really doesn't matter because it's already got 3 and 3. It absorbs them, it absorbs their attack and their health, and adds it to its own for some great combat math going on there. If you had some good cards on the field, this thing is a beast. This thing is almost always 8/8 or above for me, and it's just a great combo. Only thing is, it's kind of wasted unless you can get that combo down. But it definitely baits them to focus on it, expend a sheep or a hex or something. But if you're lucky, you can get that thing off, and man, it is powerful. It's so delicious.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude, I'm really loving Warlock deck. But I haven't been seeing a whole bunch of a whole bunch of priests lately. I don't know, how do you feel about playing like overpowered classes or cards? Do you partake in such things? Are you kind of cheap like that?
Well, I like playing priest. Everyone's saying priest is overpowered, but I love priest mechanics, and I don't know. I don't feel like priest is overpowered. I feel like now that I've played a lot of the classes and played against a lot of the classes, I feel like it's pretty well balanced. Like, I think mage is very, very powerful. if you have a good druid deck, I think that's powerful. I've been stomped by a warlock a couple times. I think a lot of the power is in the minions. Like a lot of neutral minions are really, really powerful.
Yeah.
So that could help out a lot. But I don't know. I like playing. I like the warrior deck as well. I think warrior's very strong, and I like priest, which they're saying those two are the most powerful. But I mean, I like playing mage as much or druid as much. I haven't really gotten into hunter or anything like a rogue or anything yet, but
I don't think the priest is necessarily overpowered because I keep losing to them. I think they're overpowered because, unlike any other class I've played, they almost always seem to have too many options. They always have a way to get out of something, which is a great advantage. And I think they're overpowered because I think that's too great of an advantage over other classes. They always have an answer to something. You can never, it seems to me, deadlock a priest into not having anything good to do. They can always heal, or they always have some incredibly valuable utility to throw at you, or wrestle control the board. I just think they have too many options, is all.
yeah, I feel like mages have too many options with crowd control and sheeping and all this other stuff.
That's true, but if they implement all those spells at their disposal, and that's a lot of spells, that's easily half of your deck. And it's only like the 30 cards. You still need some minions in there, so you can only have a few.
Right. I think personally that decks that are focused on having a lot of minions are more powerful, because I played against a beast heavy hunter the other day, and he just wiped me. Like, I used a lot of, he would put something out and I would sheep it, or I would use a lot of things to get rid of his minions, and I thought I was at an advantage. But then the more and more mana he'd stack up, every turn he put more and more minions out, and I thought that it would never end. Like, I'm pretty sure 25 out of his 30 cards were probably all minions.
Right.
So
I agree. That's why I've been putting a whole bunch of minions in my deck, and I've been doing much better. I've used less and less situational spells with the Warlock deck. For example, there's one I'm always kind of torn on. I can't remember the name of the card, but I think it's 2 mana, and it deals 1 damage to a card, to a minion, and if it destroys them, you get to draw a card. Otherwise, it's just 1 damage.
Yeah.
So for 2 mana and 1 damage, it's pretty weak. But if you can get the card off, then it's worth the cost. It's kind of hard bouncing that situational. So I usually only put one of those in my deck, and just that kind of decision making. So I have more minions in the deck total. And I've been doing a lot better. I'm really considering crafting a summoning portal for constructed play, because that's just.
Oh yeah, I think that's completely necessary in a warlock deck.
Yeah, and a summoning portal is 4 mana, 0 attack, and I think it's 4 health. Sorry about that. That's my niece. But it reduces the cost of all other minions to by 2 mana, but it never reduces anything under 1 mana. And it's just invaluable. And I got a few of those in Arena. It's just wonderful, very wonderful. And I see you typing again. It baits them very well. They always want to take care of that, or if they ignore it, then they have a whole bunch of minions to deal with. Which you got to be careful with that, because then you're laying out your whole hand, and now you're top decking. And those are just some of the things I've been dealing with.
Yeah, top decking is not fun.
It isn't fun. I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad, because it's inevitable and everyone can do it, and it happens often. Or maybe it's bad and it's just something to try to avoid. Or is it? I'm not really sure.
It's something to avoid, man. Like, I've been trying to avoid it as much as possible. Like, I've been trying to hold back from throwing all my cards out at once and just trying to deal as much damage, as quickly as possible. And just like sitting back and kind of reacting to the enemy. And that's been helping me a little bit.
Right.
Because I haven't been top decking as much, and I have more of a an option. Like when he starts top decking and I have 6 cards in my hand, then he's gonna be worried, you know.
Yeah, and he's going to
Yes.
take advantage of that. Like, oh, he only has 1 card. I got this. It's in the bag.
Exactly.
And at the point, everyone is familiar with this all around throughout games of all sorts. You know, when you're waiting on that 1 card and hoping that it's a card you need, even if it is, you're not in a good position. And this is kind of how Trump plays, and the fact that he's conservative and he's not throwing all his stuff out there, or he doesn't necessarily make decks that are that are crash and burn type of things. And like, let's get him. If not, oh well, good run. No, he's very conservative in his play and patient. And that's how I try to be. But I end up seeing a combo, and it, to my detriment, I end up waiting too long, and hurting myself in the long run by making reckless decisions and throwing all my cards out into this combo just to have that super souped up card sheeped or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's good to have. That's where mages and priests excel, because priest you can just take it, mage you can sheep it. If you're a friggin' shaman, you can hex it, and then all that work you put into it is just gone, and that's the worst feeling ever.
Yeah. Are you a top decker, Richard?
No.
You're having a lot of lag today, though, huh?
Yeah, I'm kind of behind on the. That's why it takes me so long. I feel like a news reporter where they're like, "And now to you, Bill." Thanks. So I don't. I mean, I'm not a. I don't know. I haven't really had time to fall into any type of strategy, so I'm just kind of screwing around with what cards I have at the moment. But
Yeah.
hopefully that beta key comes.
Testing the water, man. Well, they're sending out all sorts of beta keys all the time, so it's inevitable, you know.
Yeah.
So
They're saying everyone's going to be able to play the beta before the game launches.
yeah. Do you think that has anything to do with BlizzCon?
Maybe.
Maybe. I think we talked about that.
Yeah.
So give me a card. What's the card of the week, Ryan?
Card of the week for me is Flame Strike,
Why?
because it's a mage card, and like I said, I've been playing mage a lot.
What's this card do?
It costs 7 mana, and it deals 4 damage to all enemy minions, which is crazy if you stack that with other cards and effects.
Man, it's crazy without stacking. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. And well, I actually played against a mage the other day that had a lot of minions that had that would boost your spell damage. So he had 3 minions on the field that gave +1 spell damage, and then he played a Flame Strike against me, so he did 7 damage to all my minions, which was crazy.
Does it attack the hero?
No, but
At least there's that.
But he would use arcane missiles too, and every plus spell damage you have, it gives you an extra arcane missile. So he used that, I think, before the Flame Strike. So he did like 6 arcane missiles.
I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Some of these combos are obscure.
Mhm.
I didn't know you got another one, which it falls in line with World of Warcraft mechanics.
Yeah.
What is the unfavorable, the worst card of the week, Richard?
It is the Legendary Gelbin Mekkatorque.
Yeah, why's that so awful?
I chose this card because its vague description is an over-exaggeration for the most part. It can summon one of 4 awesome, quote, inventions, one of which, I think the best one, it has a chance to heal your champion, or one of your cards for 6 health, but the downside is it can also heal the enemy's minions or the enemy champion.
Yeah, that's a
hero.
That's a 6/6/6, right?
Yeah, he's a 6 mana, 6 health, 6 attack, and like his summons, like you can't really make any like solid plays with the card because you don't know what you're gonna get. Like aside from the fact that he's a 6/6/6 card, it's just that's all you know for a fact. He will have this much health and do this much damage.
Yeah. Um,
But he can be like a clutch card where you're like, if he heals me, I'll win the game. But then he could just heal the enemy and just further mess you up in the match. So it's like it's a gamble card, and you usually end up losing, especially if the enemy, for example, if he summons the heal and your enemy has more minions on the battlefield than you, the enemy just naturally has a higher chance of receiving the heal on their side of the board. And it's just, I don't know. And I looked through the forums to see other people's opinions on the card, and they said it's most likely going to make you lose, so it's not even worth having. And then the fact that it's a legendary makes it like worse than it would be if it was like a common card or something.
yeah.
And it makes sense because it is a beta exclusive card. So if they had a beta, like a card that only beta players had, that's just like really strong, people would complain and it would probably get nerfed eventually.
Yeah. To be the devil's advocate, I would say at the very least this card could buy you some time. I agree it's too much of a gamble, and you definitely shouldn't put it in your constructed deck. I mean, it makes sense. Me and Ryan were having a chat about this card, that this would be available for testing out the shop, because it's not necessarily an excellent card. So it's not. I mean, everyone can get this card. You can still craft it. Anyone, even after launch. But you can only get the gold version, I believe, if you purchase from the store in the beta. It makes sense they would choose like this kind of card to do it because it's not so great. But at the very least, it can buy you some time because it is a 6/6/6 that summons another minion. So you can immediately get 2 minions on the board. And of those 4 minions, one's the repair bot, not to be confused with I think it's the alarm bot or something like that, which will switch a minion out. But the repair bot is a 1/0/5, and at the end of your turn, it restores 3 health to all of your friendly characters. And that's got 5 health, so that's potentially pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Also is the Poultrizer.
Yeah, Pultrizer or something.
Though, yeah, 1/0/3, and at the start of your turn, transform another random enemy minion into a 1/1 chicken. So that's a constant polymorph. That's not bad for 3 health. And then there's the homing chicken, which is a 1/0/1, and at the start of your turn, destroy this minion and then draw 3 cards. So that's a good draw card if it can make it to next turn, which is arguably unlikely. It depends on if they want to attack the homing chicken or the 6/6 on the board. And then lastly, and probably most unfortunate, is the potential to summon the Emboldener 3000, which is a 1/0/4, and at the end of your turn, you give a random minion, any minion, yours or an enemy maybe, +1/1. Again, at the very least, this would make things interesting and maybe buy you some time. But I can't imagine, like the Emboldener 3000, I think would be very interesting, if not super convenient. But what if it just worked out for you? That could really turn the tide of the battle for the worst.
Yeah.
Good choices, guys. What is the big tip of this week, Ryan? What is your sage advice?
My sage advice for the week. Is that? Are we gonna call? Is that the segment? I guess this is a segment of Ryan's sage advice.
You can call it whatever you want.
So I'm the sage. Is that what this is?
You're the Lore Walker Cho.
Lore Walker Cho. Sounds good.
Except, yeah, never mind.
Yeah, my tip is, we talked about it a little bit earlier. We've been talking about it all show. Is be a little conservative when it comes to your cards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't be afraid to save some useful cards for maybe later use, even if they're low cost and you can use them right away.
But what do you mean? Like, at what point is being conservative detrimental?
I mean, I feel like if you save, because a lot of good cards that you have in your deck, you're going to have another one, right?
Maybe.
So you could either use it right away and wait for that other one, or it could be the last card in your deck. You know what I mean? So if you have like a polymorph and you're facing down a couple minions and they're not too crazy strong, and maybe you can save it for 2 or 3 turns until he pulls out, a 5 or 6 cost minion that's 6-7 or whatever, and you could polymorph him rather than the weaker one. Then it would come more in handy, I feel like, rather than just saying, oh, I got a polymorph, I'm just going to use it on his minion and it'll be easy. I feel like you should be a little conservative and don't be scared to save a couple cards in your hand, because it always sucks to top deck, like we were saying. It's never fun. You don't know. It's hard to combo and have a bigger effect on the enemy if you're top decking. So if you keep 2 or 3 cards in your hand at a time and save a couple cards for maybe later use that might come in handy later, and not throw all your cards at the enemy at one time, then that might help.
Well, it's not so. I agree with you, but I also think it's not so simple. It's not so black and white. It's kind of complicated in that, like, let's say you're really you're not doing too well, maybe turn 3, 4, 5, particularly turn 3 or 4, and you just have no card advantage or board control, and you can gain that card advantage or board control at the very least, and maybe kind of wrestle for that turn to advantage kind of thing with your control. And let's say you don't have a whole bunch of that, right? And you could only have so much in your hand, perhaps. Do you wrestle for that control now, or do you save that for the inevitable heavy hitters to come, turn 5, 6, 7, and so on, that they're inevitably gonna throw down, like the taunt is, what is it? It's like a 6 something. These names of these cards.
I know what you're talking about, like the gladiator.
Yeah, he's like
guy.
A big 6 something taunt, and he's just huge.
6'5", I think, and he's got taunt, and it's harder. It's harder to go up against something like that than it is, a 2/3 minion that you can just, sacrifice one of your small minions for. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it puts you it makes you so vulnerable if you don't have a lot of options.
Yeah.
I think it's important to get the advantage over your enemy, not right away, but like having 3 or 4 cards in your hand, then they're going to know that you have something up your sleeve, rather than if you're top decking and he's like, oh, he probably just drew a shitty little minion.
Yeah. But there's an advantage to being the person that is playing the cause cards, and having your opponent be on the effect end of things, having them on the react end of things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the turn to advantage is all about, and that's what the coin is for kind of gaining that advantage or reversing that roll if possible by getting 1 extra mana for your turn, for that turn alone. But there's a key to coining. There's a trick to it. You almost never want to do it first turn, even to get a taunt out, I would say. It depends, but chances are the other player is not going to be doing something serious turn 1 or 2. You know what I mean? And if they are, they're wasting it, because there's just too much yet to come. It's too early. So I think there's an advantage to coining at the right time. When do you coin?
It kind of depends on what class I'm playing. Like I was talking about earlier, if I'm playing my druid deck and the opportunity is right, and I drew one of the cards that gives you 2 mana just that turn, and I have a coin as well, then I can stack all that and have 4 or 5 mana on my first turn, and then throw something really powerful out, like a powerful minion, and give him a chance to rest, and then the enemy's second turn, he's not going to really have anything that can get rid of a 4 or 5 minion. So then your turn comes and you can just start attacking or have a good taunt out or something like that. But if I'm playing like a mage or something, I usually save it for later, to where like a lot of this game is math, like basic math, just like looking at your cards, knowing what cards you can play together to utilize use all your mana this turn. And if you have a coin, you can kind of play those odds a little better.
Yeah. I think baiting is another important factor that is just a prevalent thing to consider in every match with every class, with any card. And it happens with everything, whether you realize it or not. And I think it's important to consider it and always be considering it and always have it at the forefront of your mind when you make decisions with Hearthstone, is the concept of baiting your opponent. It's a psychological thing. I mean, of course, what are you doing in chat? Of course, it's these kind of games you're playing another opponent. It's a matter of reading the opponent's mind, kind of, and it's a psychological thing. And if you're not thinking about what the other opponent's thinking or what they might do, I would argue you're not playing the game right, or you're not being as smart as you can be, and you're severely limiting the capacity of your ability to win at this game. And so, considering what you do and what that's gonna make the other opponent do, can really help you win games, and that you can dictate you can control what the other opponent's doing. You can kind of manipulate them a little bit. And the best part is there's no chat going on, so that they might not necessarily know that you just baited them into using a polymorph on this minion that looks like it's going to be pretty big deal and needs to be dealt with, but might not necessarily be that big of a deal. For example, if I have a hand with maybe 2 really good cards, and I have a good combo in there that could buff them, rather than throw a good card on there and buff them, and I'm going up against a mage with a secret currently active, I would try to bait that. I would try to lay like a low-level minion and just kind of slowly tiptoe around, see what happens. If I draw a card, if I drop a card, is that going to trigger the secret? Nope, nothing? Okay. I will attack a minion with one of my small cheap cards. What's going to happen? Oh, that attack comes back to me? No big deal. It was only one attack. Or, you just you got to bait them, and you got to get them to focus on something. It's a good distraction mechanic. Getting a shaman to waste their hex on you, or getting throwing out a bunch of small little cheap little imps or something with 1/1 all over the field. So it looks like you have a whole bunch of cards that need to be dealt with. You cause them to waste a flame strike, what have you. Distracting them, which is particularly easy to do with taunts, because they kind of have to deal with it. It causes them to waste cards, to just pretty much controlling the tide of the battle with expendable cards. I think is very is advantageous, but it's also, I think, important to kind of balance that with not having cannon fodder in your deck. Having all of your cards be good and useful, but never put like anything that's like this would be great to I can waste this, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? But Hearthstone is a great game, but Hearthstone is a one-handed game. And I was thinking about this the other day. What are some like useful things that you can do with that other hand? Like drink coffee. What is?
Maybe you can. I don't know. Eat a pizza.
Eat a whole pizza?
Maybe you can text somebody, turn on the fan, something like that.
Yeah, make a salad.
I'd be playing another match on a different computer.
There you go.
Maybe you can put your hand down your pants and play with your leg if it's itchy, That happens a lot, you can't get it over the pants either, so you got to stick your hand in your pants and itch your leg, That happens to me a lot.
Well, what if you're wearing like jeans with a hole in them that you can just kind of like, scratch it?
Then I think you're a weird dude if you got jeans with a hole near your crotch.
What? We're not talking about crotch.
Yeah, I'm talking about the part near my crotch, like right next to it. That inner thigh.
Well,
but but normal people can just scratch their leg through the fence.
All right.
Oh God.
Drink a smoothie.
Drink a smoothie, yeah. Make notes, take notes, huh?
There you go. If you're left-handed.
Well, I'm not, so
Me neither.
the option's not true.
I can throw stuff.
Throw stuff.
Because I'm losing. So trading. Trading's probably never, ever, 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 ever coming. Because the Diablo auction house failed. And I think there are lessons to be learned from World of Warcraft when with the gold selling market. And they want to avoid things like that.
Yeah, the Diablo one was complete garbage. It just inflated the economy.
Yeah, but I can't imagine that's coming anytime soon, if at all. So, I guess let's wrap up and prepare throughout the week for this weekend's at least 2 shows, probably 3, but we'll see how it goes. So we had an email. You wanna read that for us, Richard?
Yes. Okay, we had an email from Mark H. He says, "Hi guys, great show." And we mentioned this earlier, by the way. Hi guys, great show. I have a minor quibble regarding episode 6. You referred to CM Zariah as male. Zariah's real name is actually Christina Sims.
That could be a man's name.
However,
Jesus.
I wouldn't bet money on it. He says, however, as far as I know, the other CMs blue posting on playhearthstone.com are male.
Well, but yeah. Thanks, Mark H.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
What about you, Ryan? You got some iTunes for us? iTunes shoutouts?
Yeah, we actually got an iTunes review.
5-star rating.
Yeah, 5-star rating, everyone. Yeehaw.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. The caption is, found this on the BattleNet forums, so good job there, Devin. And yeah, he says, great job, really enjoying the discussion. I cannot wait for this game to open up so I can play. So I'm glad that there's hopefully more than one person that's listening that hasn't experienced the beta, that can actually, learn some things about it from our discussion, hopefully.
Definitely. Really appreciate you guys joining me today. Thank you for the shout-outs, guys, on iTunes. Appreciate you guys listening, subscribing, visiting our site, so on. Where can listeners find us?
Well...
Where can they find you on Twitter, Ryan?
They can find me on Twitter at Ryan_M_Drover. And yeah, give me a shout out.
What about you, Richard?
You can find me on Twitch at Exodus Videos, Twitter at ExodusRB, and my YouTube channel is just youtube.com/Richard Burrell, or you can just search Richard Burrell on YouTube. I do Let's Plays on different types of games, and eventually I'll do some Hearthstone once I get my beta key.
Rad. Love that so I can. You can find me at Devin_Casey, and you can find our show on Twitter at Discussion Show. No space, just at Discussion Show, where we will be live tweeting the event Friday and Saturday. And then tune into the blog where we'll be live blogging the event similarly at duelistdiscussion at squarespace.com. I'm sorry. Facebook/duelistdiscussion. And we're on iTunes, Stitcher, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, give us some ratings. Ratings on iTunes, please. We love your input.
Definitely, thank you. And keep sending your emails. It's wonderful stuff.
Yes, I love the feedback.
Yeah, no specific time for the BlizzCon stuff. But BlizzCon starts at 9 a.m. and ends at 10 p.m., I believe, Friday and Saturday. So we'll be in touch. Take care, guys, and take it easy.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hello Duelists, and welcome to another installment of Heroes of Hearthstone lore. First, let me apologize for missing last week. Beta key will do strange things to the brain. Anyway, this week we're going to talk about Gul'dan the Warlock. Gul'dan was one of the most famous orcs of all time. He was the very first orc warlock to have ever existed, and he was the founder of the original Horde. To understand Gul'dan, first we have to talk about his teacher, Ner'zhul. Ner'zhul was the war chief of the Orc clans before they assembled into the Horde, and was an extremely respected shaman before he was corrupted by the leader of the Burning Legion, Kil'jaeden. He was deceived into committing near genocide on the Draenei. Ner'zhul later realized this betrayal when he attempted to commune with the spirits in Ashigan, and they revealed Kil'jaeden's demonic nature. Gul'dan, who was Ner'zhul's apprentice, revealed to Kil'jaeden Ner'zhul's discovery, and was given leadership over the Orcs. It was at this point that Kil'jaeden offered Gul'dan warlock magic, and the Orcish Horde was born. He created a Shadow Council, who was a puppet government under the control of Gul'dan and Kil'jaeden. Sometime after this formation, Gul'dan made the Orcs imbibe the blood of Mannoroth, which made them bloodthirsty and brutal. Later on down the line, Sargeras, a Titan and Lord of the Burning Legion who was possessing the Guardian of Tirisfal, Medivh, offered Gul'dan power beyond his reckoning in his tomb, on the condition that he would conquer Azeroth. The two worked together to open the original Dark Portal. Thus began the First War. Under his rule, the Orcish Horde conquered most of Azeroth, but before they crushed Stormwind, Gul'dan went into a coma from probing Medivh's mind when he died. After this, Orgrim Doomhammer, who had remained fairly corruption-free, killed the figurehead warchief Blackhand and took control of the Horde, murdering warlocks and most of the Shadow Council. Gul'dan regained consciousness later to find that only a handful of allies were still loyal to him. Gul'dan was allowed to live, and he tried creating Death Knights from Stormwind's fallen knights in order to make Doomhammer believe him loyal. He failed continuously until he tried a special spell that involved him joining his Necrolites and murdering them all at a certain point. The Death Knights were born, but they were loyal to Gul'dan, not Doomhammer. And when Doomhammer was about to attack Lordaeron capital, now known as the Undercity, Gul'dan summoned his own clan and the Twilight's Hammer clan to help him search for the tomb of Sargeras. This crippled Doomhammer's army and forced him to retreat and hunt Gul'dan down. Gul'dan found the tomb, but was killed by demons inside. This was not the end of Gul'dan, though. His skull became an extremely powerful demonic artifact, and was used by Ner'zhul when he opened portals to other worlds on Draenor. Also used by Khadgar to destroy the Dark Portal, by the Burning Legion to corrupt Felwood on Azeroth, and by Illidan's Stormrage to become half-demon.